Good afternoon, and welcome to Studio 51. I'm Anna Buchanan.
And I'm Monique James. Studio 51 is a weekly news magazine produced by Loyola students. We call it Studio 51 because we are located in this beautiful street studio, located on 51 East Pearson in downtown Chicago.
We've got a lot in store for you today. Our news summary will update you on all the top stories this week, with a special report on this incredible record.
Our foodie takes us to a new restaurant and later an unusual story about a stolen bicycle and its mysterious return. But first, here's Carly Free with this week's news summary. Carly?
Thanks, Monique. President Obama will take to the airwaves tonight to announce his latest immigration reform policies. Mayor Rahm Emanuel says he will fully support Obama's new plan, even though he actually hasn't seen it yet. The proposal would shield 4 to 5 million undocumented immigrants from deportation as long as their children were born in the U.S. The president's idea would be added to his Deferred Action and Childhood Arrivals program, which has protected around 600,000 immigrant children since it was created in 2012. Obama hopes Republicans will not oppose this because he believes the alternative is separating parents from their children. Chicago Catholics are giving a warm welcome during this cold week to newly installed Archbishop Blase Cupich. During Tuesday's ceremony at Holy Name Cathedral, people lined up to witness the installation of Chicago's 9th Archbishop. Cupich is encouraging change in the church, vowing to help those sexually abused by priests and protecting the less fortunate. Cupich was Pope Francis's nominee to replace Cardinal George as Archbishop, as the Cardinal's health continues to decline. Cupich will make his first parish visit this Sunday at St. Agatha's in North Lawndale. And a very tense situation in Ferguson, Missouri this week as law enforcement officials expect a verdict soon in the Michael Brown case. A 12-person grand jury is deciding whether to charge Officer Darren Warren with the August 9th shooting death of 18-year-old Brown. In the meantime, Missouri's Governor Jay Nixon is declaring a state of emergency. Nixon is calling on members of the National Guard to prepare for public reactions to that verdict. And right here at Loyola, a missing student has been found safe. In an email sent out earlier this week, Loyola's campus safety stated 20-year-old Chan Williams was successfully located. Williams was reported missing over a week ago by his father. Campus safety was not able to provide any further details on Williams' location. And one Chicago cyclist is having a pretty lucky week after a few days of misfortune. Studio 51's Lauren DeVito has a special report.
Do you like riding your bike? There are few better places to do it than right here in Chicago. Bicycling Magazine just named Chicago the #2 American city for cycling, and Mayor Rahm Emanuel is planning to build 100 miles of protected bike lanes in the city. Unfortunately, with more and more people choosing to ride their bikes, we're seeing a growing number of bike thefts. A group of young people caught on surveillance video stole Kraft Pizza worker Aaron Johnson's bike last week while he was at work. Johnson said that the group then approached a man in an alley and sold the bike for about $100.
The kids didn't know that it was a $700 bike, and he just knew it was fishy that he got it for so cheap, so he held on to it. Then he saw it on the news, he saw the footage, went to the police station and turned it in, and he wanted to remain anonymous.
Johnson said that he had left his bike in the back alley at Kraft Pizza, and when he watched the surveillance video of the theft, he was floored.
We checked the cameras. This kid had jumped over this giant fence, like 10-foot tall fence, just spidered his way up, opened it, tried to steal my backpack, didn't get that, and he just ran out with my bike.
Another Kraft Pizza employee, Tavia Hanrahan, said Johnson's bike wasn't the only thing stolen.
She waited until my back was turned and then took the 10 out of the tip jar and put it in a menu and then slipped that into the baby stroller. And then I didn't notice at first until Aaron was out back, and I was like, well, what? I had feeling something fishy was going on. I looked in the tip jar, and I knew there was a $10 bill in there from earlier in the day, and it was only singles left in there. So I'm like, well, they stole money.
Many online have blamed Johnson for not having his bike locked up behind the fence at work. However, another Chicago resident said that this kind of theft is not something you would expect to happen.
The last bike I got stolen was actually out of my house. The bike was in my garage, and I actually think maybe it was friends of people I was living with who sold my bike for rent money.
Johnson said that the boy who stole his bike is 12 years old and came into the shop with his mother to apologize. At any rate, Johnson is happy to be reunited with his bike. To keep the good karma going, Kraft Pizza offered free slices of pizza to anyone who rode up to the shop on their bike this Saturday. While it's difficult to safeguard against someone jumping a 10-foot fence to steal your bike or stealing it from your house, there are a few things you can do to keep your bike safe. First, lock up your bike where you can see it. Second, get a U-lock. They're much more efficient than chain or cable locks. These you can only really take off with an angle grinder, so they're good to have. For Studio 51 News, I'm Lauren DeVito.
Thanks, Lauren. 2 people, an 18-year-old woman and a juvenile boy, have been charged in connection with the theft at Kraft Pizza. And finally, under the topic of Jeopardy contestants, who is Julia Collins? She's the North Shore woman who won 20 straight rounds of Jeopardy back in June. But she's returning to compete for the $250,000 grand prize after being chosen as one of 4 wild card contestants. Collins begins her journey as Jeopardy champion during tonight's first round of finals. This has been your news summary. I'm Carly Free.
Thanks, Carly.
That's amazing. I've never played Jeopardy before, but I don't think I would be that good at it.
I played a few times, and sometimes the questions just go way over my head, but we wish her the best of luck.
Yeah.
Up next, we have the latest on health with Jade Anderson. What do we need to know, Jade?
It's time to kick butt. Cigarette butt, that is. Today marks the 39th annual Great American Smokeout. Created by the American Cancer Society, this day draws attention to smoking and challenges people to stop using tobacco. Here in Chicago, anti-smoking groups continue to spend the day sharing information about the many tools smokers can use to help them quit and stay tobacco-free. For more on the Great American Smokeout and tools you can use to quit, visit the American Cancer Society's website at www.cancer.org. Children's health. What's the secret to healthy kids? According to a new study, it's about parents and their ability to say no to bad food choices. The University at Buffalo says children have healthier diets when their parents place restrictions on what they can eat and train them to control their impulses. Hey athletes, are your teeth rotting as you run? Some researchers say yes. According to a study conducted by the University Hospital of Heidelberg in Germany, cardio workouts such as running create alkaline saliva, which leads to plaque and tooth decay. This is a follow-up study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine. Back in 2012, the London Olympic athletes say 75% of Olympians suffered from gum disease and half of them suffered from tooth erosion. What's the culprit? One researcher says the sugar found in sports drinks and energy bars are by far the most damaging to any athlete's mouth. The best thing for athletes to do is to trade in the Gatorade for water and look for protein shakes and bars with the least amount of sugar. This has been your weekly health report for Studio 51. I'm Jade Anderson.
Thanks, Jade. You know, I like sugary drinks, but I'm hoping it doesn't mess up my teeth.
Yeah, and I go running a lot, so I really hope it's not affecting my teeth either. But enough of that. The NFL has been having a lot of problems lately. Molly Brewer tells all with sports in 51 seconds. All right, Molly, the ticking starts now.
If you're even a moderately informed Chicago citizen, then you're aware of the desperate need for a Bears win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this Sunday. Despite winning their last 2 games against the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets, it's going to take extra effort from the Bears offense to add another W to the mix. I love a good win as much as the next person, but come on, Chicago. There's some issues in the NFL that deserve more attention than Jay Cutler's lack of leadership. Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson was suspended without pay on Tuesday for the remainder of the season. Why? Because charges were filed against him for child abuse, and he failed to make it to his NFL hearing. This is one of several recent domestic violence cases involving the NFL, which is combating the issue the best way it knows how, with positive PR. On Wednesday, the multi-billion-dollar industry sent a video about domestic violence and sexual assault awareness to high schools and colleges across the U.S. The video is directed at coaches in hopes that their influence can affect change in NFL culture. Well, support from coaches is great and all, but with a lack of focus from the media on the policies and punishments surrounding domestic violence in the NFL, it begs the question, what do we as fans really care about? We can be better than this, and we have to be if we want the legacy of the game to live on. So stop burning your Cutler jerseys, Chicago, and start asking the NFL the tough questions. For Sports in 51 Seconds, this is Molly Brewer. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Molly. You know, the NFL has just been swamped with problems lately, so I really hope that teams like the Bears can just get back together again.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Chicago gets to see the Bears get back on its game. Speaking of problems, we have to wonder what the weather will be at Soldier Field.
It can't be any worse than Buffalo. They have more than 5 feet, not inches, 5 feet. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. Coming up, we will have a special in-depth report on climate change. Maybe that will explain the weather.
And later, legalizing marijuana. That's the issue Studio 51's commentary takes a look at. Stay tuned.
We all know the dangerous consequences of plagiarism. You could fail a class, be expelled, be rejected from medical school, lose your dream job, lose your visa and be deported, or even face jail time. Tonight, however, I want to share with you the most dangerous consequence of all, zombification. That's right. If you plagiarize, you can become a brain-eating zombie. It all begins so innocently. It's an act of cutting and pasting, of stealing someone's work and passing it off as your own, or even using an assignment from a previous class. Perhaps you are so relieved at turning in your assignment that you break out and dance. Who cares if it's plagiarized, as long as it gets the job done? But then, the nightmare begins. Your skin starts taking on various shades of gray and green. Your eyes get dark and hollow out. Your movements become clumsy. Your friends run away from you. Before you know it, you're a full-fledged zombie with no original ideas of your own. So you are forced to feed on the brains of others. This does not have to be your fate. Just do the right thing. Turn in your own work with your own original ideas, so you don't have to feed on the brains of others.
Welcome back. Welcome back, and I'm Monique James.
And I'm Anna Buchanan. Unless you've been living under a rock, you have felt Chicago's frigid temperatures. Earlier this week, we even experienced a record low in November. What's going on here? Studio 51's Chelsea Kuchik has a special report.
So one day of chilly weather might be a fluke, but it's been almost a whole week of freezing temperatures here in Chicago. And people are wondering, is this another polar vortex? Are we to expect another winter like last year's? Some experts say it might be so.
According to the National Weather Service, Chicago's early winter isn't just cold, it's record-breaking. Monday's high of 15 degrees just missed the standing record, and Tuesday's high of 19 broke a record from 1903. Rick DeMaio, meteorologist and adjunct professor at Loyola University Chicago, explains if we will see a repeat of last year.
Well, to answer your question, is it the polar vortex 2.0 is, yeah. But every year we have a polar vortex.
He explained that the polar vortex is a natural part of the atmospheric flow. It's a large dip in the atmosphere that allows air to remain over a certain region for a long period of time.
The pattern that we've been in for the last week has been this persistent area of Arctic high pressure that's been coming in from the northern plains.
It's unusual to have two extreme winters back to back, but the conditions are favorable.
I think there's at least a 60 to 70% chance that we can easily see another winter like last year from a standpoint of snow, only because of the amount of cold air that has never gone away.
While atmospheric changes might be natural, the early arrival of winter is not.
I don't think anybody can argue the fact that it's cold really early. Does this mean it's going to stay cold through the rest of the winter? Probably not, but at least through the first part of December and early January.
Unfortunately, an early winter does not always translate to an earlier spring.
Last year we had such an extensive period of cold and snow that the Great Lakes had the most ice they've ever seen, 92% at one point.
The lakes take a while to freeze and eventually to thaw. This can make winters even longer as cold air hangs.
The bottom line is our seasons have changed, not only the numbers in between, but the beginning and the end time as well. So I don't think having cold winters means that you're going to have an early spring. But I've definitely seen a trend towards spring starting here a little bit later.
So what are we to do about all this cold in Chicago? DeMaio's #1 recommendation is to wear your gloves, wear your hats, and your coat. You're never too cool to dress warm. For Studio 51, I'm Chelsea Kuchik. Stay warm.
Thanks, Chelsea. Not much comfort there, but at least we have an explanation.
There is something people are talking about that's hot, and it's legalizing marijuana. Here's Kevin Carroll with this week's commentary.
Substance abuse, gateway drug, these are arguments made against the legalization of marijuana. I hate to be the realist here, but it's not a matter of if cannabis will be legalized, but rather when. In a Gallup poll this year, 51% of Americans favor legalizing the drug. Add that to the fact that on November 4th, Alaska, DC, and Oregon took major steps towards legalization. The tide shifted long ago, but we're still trying to swim against the current. And part of that current includes who sells it, how do we get it, and with what restrictions? Oregon will let the Liquor Control Commission regulate marijuana. Colorado has similar methods with distilleries. But there are no consistent standards put in place. Are legislators waiting for there to be an arrest before they put regulations in place? Let's not wait for a court case in order to establish a policy. This will only add to the stigma of recreational marijuana use. Like alcohol, safety should be our first priority. The best way to maintain safety is through a clear-cut, easy way to sell it and buy it. And it ought to be a system that is universal across all 50 states. That way consumers know where the product is coming from and producers can regulate consumption. You may think this easy access will lead to drug abuse and a subsequent spike in crime rates, but that's not the case. Why believe a young man like me? Well, in a recent study at the University of Texas, researchers discovered no increase in crime after marijuana legalization, and some violent crime actually dropped. The war on drug runs deeper than marijuana, so let's stop criminalizing people, particularly the youth, who choose to use a substance that is less damaging than many of the prescription pills on shelves today. For Studio 51's commentary, I'm Kevin Carroll.
Thanks, Kevin.
You know, I think that no matter what happens in the end, it's just important to stay safe.
Yes, I believe safety should be the main priority. But more importantly, we would like to hear from you. What do you think? Tweet us at Studio 51 Chicago or Facebook us at Studio 51 Loyola. After the break, our foodie will take us to a popular new restaurant here in Chicago.
And our techie has a scoop on what's new for your phone. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Oh, this isn't good. I was a gift from him to her. I'm going to the animal shelter, which isn't necessarily bad. I just hate the stigma associated with shelter pets. People will think I bite or that I spray everywhere. They're the ones with problems. I'm totally fine. Adopt me, you'll see. I'm gonna go pack.
I can't even believe you! And she has a mustache!
For more simple ways to fight the flu, visit www.flu.gov.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. If you're feeling hungry, Alex Whitler has something to shake you up. Alex?
I'm in River North at the corner of Ohio and Rush, getting ready to sink my teeth into my first Shake Shack burger. Now, it's only been open for a couple of weeks, and there's lines still out of the door. The idea for Shake Shack came after selling Chicago dogs in a New York City park for a few years. The first restaurant opened in 2004. The Chicago spot, that just opened November 4th, is the 57th of its kind. Cheese fries, Angus beef, and custards. None are new or novel, but combined they make a classic American meal. There's plenty of burger joints in the city. In fact, M Burger and Epic Burger are just a few blocks away. So what's all the fuss about this one? Employees say Shake Shack is new and exciting.
I'll tell you that right now. This is the first one in the entire Midwest, so we had a lot of fun. The party, if you guys were here at the party, it was amazing.
And those lines I mentioned before, they've been like this for a while.
Every single day, we probably be all the way down to the next block or sometimes on to where the loophole is. Yeah. But once this line, as it is now, it comes right back again every 5 or 10 minutes.
With speedy service and a casual, relaxed atmosphere, it's no wonder people keep coming back.
But if you're anything like me, you might want to get a double because the portions are a little bit small. Reporting for Studio 51 News, I'm Alex Willard.
Thanks, Alex.
I've never heard of Shake Shack before, but I really would like to try this place out now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually really hungry right now, so I'd like to go soon.
Yeah, I heard on the first day that the line was going out the door.
Wow. Snapchat has a new feature, and Facebook may be making more changes. I don't want to give too much information away, but our tech reporter Samantha Satori has the scoop. Samantha?
Thanks, Monique. Earlier this week, an announcement from the Financial Times says Facebook is testing a new service that aims to connect coworkers. The social networking site new project is called Facebook at Work and would allow users to, well, do just that. The new service would be separate from current personal accounts, and users could connect with colleagues, people in their professional network, and collaborate on projects. Facebook at Work would rival other professional networking sites, including Google, Salesforce.com, and LinkedIn. Now the app Snapchat lets you send more than just pictures and videos to your friends. You can also send them money. Through a partnership with Square Cash, the app developed Snapcash. You can add a debit card to your account, type in a dollar amount into Snapchat's text feature, and then hit the green pay button to send money to a friend. And if you're worried about Snapchat's past privacy and security problems, Square Cash will be holding the payment account details. And finally, for those of you hoping to spice up your text messages, Unicode is considering 37 new emoji characters for next year's update. A thinking face, robot, and a lion are all potentials, but most importantly, new food emoji, including popcorn, cheese, and a taco, are being considered for the new release. Is there an emoji you'd like to see added to the list? Let us know by tweeting at Studio 51 Chicago. For your Studio 51 Tech Report, I'm Samantha Sartori.
Thank you, Samantha.
You know, I think it's a little bit risky to send money through Snapchat, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I already have a LinkedIn account. I really don't think it's necessary for Facebook to have that extra for business.
Yeah. Thanksgiving is a week away, but we are already feeling the bite of winter. Our weather guy, Joaquin Caring, has a complete forecast. Joaquin?
Thanks, guys. Now, you know it's cold. You've been outside, and, well, I know it's cold because it's my job to know that. However, it has been abnormally cold these past few days due to the cold front that went through, but I am a bearer of good news. It is going to get warmer this weekend. But with the warmer weather comes, unfortunately, some precipitation, and it's not going to be snow. But before we get into Saturday and Sunday, I'll start with Friday because that tends to come before Saturday and Sunday most of the time. So Friday, it's going to be cold. It'll be a high of 32 and a low of 28. It will be sunny, so if you do want to go out in the cold weather and go for a run, just wear some extra layers. Now Saturday, this is when the temperatures start to rise. We're going to see a high of 43 and a low of 41, but there will be a chance of rain, so bring your umbrella, although if you want to get wet, that's your own prerogative. Now, Sunday we're going to see the highest temperatures we've seen in a while with a high of 47, but it's definitely going to rain today or that day. So again, umbrellas and parkas suggested. There will be a low of 39, which is an indication of the cooler temperatures that are coming in next week. It is getting closer to winter, so that should not come as too much of a surprise. This has been your weekend weather update. I am your meteorologist for the day, that is Joaquin Caring. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Joaquin. You know, I think I'm just going to keep my winter coat nearby just in case.
Yeah, and it's still going to be cold, but I hope that the rain doesn't create any ice on the roads.
Yes.
Well, that's all we have for this week's episode of Studio 51. I'm Anna Buchanan.
And I'm Monique James. Have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week.